Hey Giants fans, voice of the New York Giants, Bob Papa here. Let's take a look at some of the moves reported by many that the Giants have made in free agency. Now, first and foremost, I hope everybody is being safe out there. You're following the protocols. We want to get this curve down with the coronavirus, so everybody just do your part and we can get back to business and life as we're accustomed to. Some of the moves that the Giants made so far are pretty impressive, and I like what they did. They were associated, a lot of people, a lot of rumors had the Giants signing some very big ticket free agent items. They kind of pivoted and went in a different direction, and I really like what they did because a guy like James Bradbury, according to reports, it's a very reasonable contract, and I love what the Giants did in the draft last year as far as the secondary is concerned. But you need a veteran presence there, and James Bradbury fits the answer. Plus, it's all about knowing players, understanding their personalities. And obviously, Dave Gettleman drafted him when he was in Carolina. So the move of Bradbury was needed, but it's also the right fit, I believe, for this team. Then you take a look at the linebacker position. We know that the Giants need help with the linebackers, and Blake Martinez is a player that I really love to watch play. Okay, so he's missing on some of the measurables that people talk about in the combine. He's a football player. He's out there for 3 downs, went to Stanford, and a good buddy of mine and former New York Giant, Ed McCaffrey, his son Christian plays for the Carolina Panthers. He and Blake Martinez were teammates in college. And Ed says that this is a good football player, more importantly, a guy with a high IQ. And obviously Patrick Graham, the defensive coordinator of the Giants, is familiar with him. Kyler Fackrell, well, listen, he's a guy that you take a look at. It's a 1-year deal, according to reports out there. And he's another guy that can, let's face it, get after the quarterback. And the Giants need help doing that. There's a lot of moves that you have to like with the Giants, and now it's time to turn to the offensive side of the ball. One of the things I really like is the Giants' addition of Levine to Loyola. He's a blocking tight end, and he's a guy that really is going to help the Giants in the run game, and he's going to help the offensive line. Obviously, the Giants want to run the ball with Saquon Barkley, and with the retirement of Rhett Ellison, this is a perfect fit for the Giants. They got him at a good cost. And again, they're adding football players, not necessarily marquee players, but good, solid football players that are versatile in a lot of areas. Look, Fleming is a guy that obviously the new offensive coordinator, Jason Garrett and Mark Colombo, are familiar with their time with him in Dallas. And I think he's a guy that's going to help the Giants. Worst case scenario, he's going to give the Giants some real quality depth along the offensive line, depending what they do in the draft. So when you take a look at what they've done on defense and you take a look at what the Giants have done on offense, a lot of smart moves. Remember, there's still more free agency to go. There's still players that teams are going to get on favorable 1-year deals. And then you have to like the acquisition of Nate Abner. Nate Abner is a guy that was a special teams ace with the New England Patriots, and obviously head coach Joe Judge is familiar with that. The other component about it is he's a smart player that can preach to the locker room. Obviously, we're not bringing people in here to just be mentors. They got to be able to play the game. He does both. He's going to be able to mentor the ways that Joe Judge wants things to be done, but he's going to do it on the field. You think about Matthew Slater, the great special teamer for the New England Patriots. Nate Abner was right there with Slater as far as being available on all the different teams and being a force. And hey, the other thing is, one thing, if a rugby game breaks out, he's going to be first and foremost picked. He represented the United States in the Olympics playing rugby 7. So those are a look at some of the moves that the Giants have made on both offense and defense, with a lot more news still to come. Now it's time to take a look at some of the other teams in the NFC East. Let's start down the turnpike with the Philadelphia Eagles. They lost a giant nemesis in Malcolm Jenkins when they parted ways with him. But they added a heck of a corner in Darius Slay. They acquired him in a deal with the Detroit Lions. That was an area of need for Philadelphia. He winds up getting a new contract. The Dallas Cowboys, they got their guys signed. Amari Cooper, they franchise tagged Dak Prescott, so they keep those elements in place. Obviously, they lose Jason Witten to the Raiders. But then they pick up Gerald McCoy. And Gerald McCoy is going to go a long way in helping that Dallas team. Remember, Dallas invested over the last year or so, re-signing some of their key defensive players. McCoy is a very nice acquisition. And then the addition of HaHa Clinton-Dix, who spent last year with the Chicago Bears. Remember, he was drafted by the Green Bay Packers. Mike McCarthy knows him very well. He's a pro's pro, and he's going to help that Dallas back end because they certainly have needed help in the secondary and in the safety position. Then you turn to the Washington Redskins. They bring in a guy like Thomas Davis. Now, the Redskins are loaded up front as it is. Thomas Davis is one of the more remarkable stories in the NFL, coming back from multiple knee injuries and having a Pro Bowl career. Head coach Ron Rivera now in Washington certainly understands what Thomas Davis brings not only on the field, but in the locker room. And just kind of wrapping up here, I know that Giants fans were curious about what kind of moves they would make in free agency, but they've checked some boxes. And more importantly, again, it's not the big name, high profile guys. A lot of guys that the Giants have reportedly brought in are guys that you can build team around and add to some of this young nucleus that they have. And again, work is not done. There's still mid-range free agency, and obviously the draft is still to come, and that's the lifeline of every NFL team. Now, once again, I'm reminding you Giants fans out there, be safe, wash your hands, be like a superhero, and make sure that you do your part so we can whip this coronavirus. Go Big Blue.
Hey Giants fans, Saquon Barkley here. You want to see more videos? Subscribe below.